All right, let's look at how to lower estrogen naturally. Estrogen can have a pretty bad influence on the body when it's in excess, and today we're going to learn how to lower your exposure to it naturally. All the information in today's video plus much more can be found in my book, Master Your T. Visit masteryourt.com for a free digital download of the book. $20 in value, absolutely free for you. The tiny amounts of estrogen are actually needed in the male body. However, in modern society, we're exposed to thousands of chemicals and other estrogenic compounds that act as endocrine disruptors in the male body, effectively boosting this estrogen level to unnatural levels. So I'd say that about 99.5% of the male population has too much estrogen in their system, and I'm not even joking. That's how bad the situation is nowadays, and everything is filled with estrogenic compounds, from our food to personal care items, all the way to receipts that we get from the grocery store. And it's a scientifically proven fact that estrogen is literally everywhere. So why is estrogen so harmful to men? And why should you look to lower your estrogen levels in the first place? So estrogen and estrogen mimics are notorious for their ability to completely crush male testosterone levels. Estrogen and testosterone are constantly battling for the same androgen receptors. So if you have too much estrogen in your body, you're actually prioritizing that estrogen is taking over those androgen receptors from your testosterone, which makes it less effective. When that happens, you're basically hormonally screwed. And that's not even all there is to the overblown male estrogen imbalance, because there's this enzyme called aromatase, which will convert your testosterone straight into estrogen. So essentially, when you're boosting testosterone, we need to make sure to lower estrogen levels as low as possible, and also make sure that our aromatase enzyme will be as low as possible. Because high testosterone combined with high aromatase enzyme means that all that awesome testosterone is basically just being converted into estrogen, which is really bad for guys. So the good news is that it's pretty easy to lower estrogen levels naturally. If you're doing it successfully, your testosterone levels are bound to increase significantly. So obviously, as a guy, you need to decrease these estrogen levels. So how on earth does a guy lower estrogen naturally? And how can you keep your aromatase enzyme at bay? So first, you want to get rid of that spare tire around the waist. So estrogen molecules practically live inside your fat cells, and it's a scientific fact. The more fat a guy has, the more estrogen is bound within these tissues. So first, to lower estrogen naturally and begin this removal process of it, you need to start with weight loss. Not necessarily even weight loss, but more specifically just fat loss in general. So it doesn't matter if you're not that heavy, you could be skinny fat really, and you could have a high estrogen profile. So start melting off the fat, and the more you do, the more your estrogen is going to decrease. Next up, you want to avoid exposure to unnecessary chemicals that have an estrogen-like effect. So in our modern world, we're constantly bombarded with these chemicals. They're in our faces 24/7, and it's a cold hard fact that we can't completely avoid them no matter how hard we try. Fortunately, this doesn't mean that you can't do anything, as we can still reduce them as much as possible, and we can avoid the worst types of them. So as a rule of thumb, you should avoid all these unnatural chemicals, basically because they are estrogen mimics on the body. So next up, you basically want to decrease your exposure to plastics. I mean, plastics are extremely estrogenic in terms of different compounds that are within them. People go so far as to say that plastics are the biggest cause in our modern era of high estrogen activity in the human body. So when a plastic bottle is made, it will take a year for it to actually cool down so it wouldn't leak these estrogen mimics into its content anymore. However, with like big soda manufacturing and water bottle manufacturing companies, thousands upon thousands of these bottles are churned out every single day, and they're not waiting a year before filling them, they're actually filling them right away. So all of the contents of the bottle itself is actually being leached with all these estrogenic chemicals. Next up, avoid parabens. So parabens are the chemicals used in almost all of our personal care items. They're also strong estrogen mimics in the male body, and if you're serious about decreasing estrogen levels naturally, then you have to eliminate these endocrine disrupting chemicals from your daily habits. The easiest way to eliminate parabens is actually to switch to more natural personal care items, and there are starting to be way more good options out here on the market. Look for the following chemicals: butylparaben, you have ethylparaben, you have heptylparaben, methylparaben, propylparaben. These are all different types of parabens that you're going to find. Next up, you want to start eating organic foods. So commercial foods found in your favorite grocery store are most likely full of pesticides. Not just pesticides, but herbicides, fungicides. All these different chemicals are actually potent endocrine disruptors. They're estrogen mimics in the body, and they are very low quality ingredients. There's really no reason that you want to be eating foods that are grown using these sort of chemicals in the growing process, because the toxic load on your body starts to really accumulate over time, and it can be a big issue in terms of increasing your estrogen levels. So another thing might be to avoid soy in general. So soy is a powerful phytoestrogen and plant estrogen, which means it's going to promote estrogenic activity within the human body, especially the male body. And that's something that you don't want to happen. So this is actually just a quick sample of possible things you could do. There are a ton of other things that you can do, and they're all in my book, Master Your T, which you can get right now at masteryourt.com for free as a digital download. I want this information to spread. I want it to get out to as many guys as possible, because a lot of guys don't believe that they can naturally increase their T levels, but the 880 some odd references in this book will tell you otherwise. It'll tell you exactly what you need to do. If you go over to masteryourt.com right now too, I'm also giving a $5 off coupon for our natural testosterone supplement, testro-x. So go check it out, go to Master Your T. I'll see you over there.